Now, in the next few words here in this letter, Paul is effectively going to change their worldview. He's going to change their foundation for living. He's going to change their ideas of worship and mission. If all we had, by the way, were the opening lines of this letter with what we've just learned about the city of Philippi, we would know that this letter is going to revolutionize the believers' thinking and living in at least 3 different ways. First of all, here in the latter part of verse 1, Paul is going to redirect their sense of loyalty. He's going to redirect their sense of loyalty. Notice what he writes. To all the saints in Christ Jesus who are at Philippi. I love the way Paul orders his words. He effectively says, Philippi might be your mailing address, but Jesus Christ is your permanent residence. You are in Christ Jesus. Which happens to be, by the way, a favorite phrase of Paul's. It'll appear 150 times in his letters, more than 20 times in this particular letter, in the Lord, in Christ Jesus, in Jesus Christ. It's a phrase that is loaded with the gospel. In Christ Jesus. One author, and I love this phrase he used, is theological shorthand, referring to all that we have in our bond in Christ. Our bond is so tight to him, so tightly held, that his obedience is our obedience. His death on the cross is our death on the cross. His victory over sin is our victory over sin's condemnation. His resurrection is our resurrection. In fact, Paul will tell the Ephesians, you are in him already seated in the heavens, in Christ. I love the way Vincent put it when he wrote that the Christian lives in Christ like the roots of a tree live in the soil. Like a bird lives in the air, or a fish lives in the water. A Christian is always and everywhere encircled with the presence of Jesus Christ. It's a great thought, isn't it? By the way, don't miss the uniqueness of this precious phrase to the Christian. A Buddhist does not speak of himself as being in Buddha. A Muslim does not refer to himself as in Muhammad. A Christian Scientist is not in Mary Baker Eddy. A Mormon is not in Joseph Smith or Brigham Young. They might follow the teachings of these leaders, but they are not in them. They're not bound personally in relationship to them. Only Christians claim to be in their leader, in Jesus Christ. Paul reinforces this new sense of loyalty. As he writes to the believers in Ephesus, he says this, listen, but God, being rich in mercy because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up with him, and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Now, who are we exactly in Christ Jesus? What's this new sphere of loyalty and love? Well, Paul answers that. He addresses his letter to them and to us. Notice verse 1 in the middle part. To all the saints. To all the saints. How do you become a saint? Doing the chores? Remember